shy and sneaky talking like, bro, I don't be on none of that shit, bro. If I find out, bro, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you, bro. I'll put that on Mata Gang, bro.
Okay, it's Mr. Keep a Hood, the world real is black SA. I'm steady tucking peace, so you know I'm pushing the threat, say. Let's spin the out block, we tryna get them the best way. We jumping out of forward, the payment is where his face stay.
I ain't from Crib nor blood, I'm from Crazy Messy Point Trece though, so yeah.
I be with like 18 homies. Come across the tracks, you see like 18 guns. Sometimes I'm thugging by my lonely when I'm rolling around in different cliques. Homies up in different sides, but all from the same shit.
How is it being your skin color in a Mexican hood right here, bro?
Oh, this right here is my family, you know? I came over here, they showed love to me, and I seen from there ever since then, you know, I was like, hey, this is my family right here, I'm gonna be here all day long, you know, at the park gang.
Rap News Street Politics, the best hood channel on YouTube. And we back with the Black Essays, representing that double S, coming out of LA and putting it down in the midst of racial tension, taxation, and the overall program that Southside hoods follow in Southern California. Now, we know a lot of things have bubbled up on the internet in terms of racial politics making it to the forefront between black and brown communities. We've seen a lot of comments made, a lot of back and forth, and we know this is an issue that is not only more complex and political than gangbanging, but it's also something that's been in the LA streets for a long time. And what a lot of people don't talk about is where the Black Essays lie in this situation. Now, the key thing is we know it's a grip of different Southside hoods all throughout LA County, San Diego County, the Inland Empire. It's a lot of different hoods that exist out here repping the 13. And to keep it real, I would say there's been black members from at least every single section and every single Southside hood that you can think of, whether it be in recent times or at one point in time. Being a Black SA is not new to the streets. Now, we did a video last year about Hispanic Crips, how them dudes end up walking that line, joining the black hood, and that path is pretty much the same for Black SAs. It all starts from the beginning. It's organic, whether it be elementary school, middle school, high school, whoever you align yourself with, the neighborhood that you kicking it with, the family ties you may have, everything fits into place in terms of who people are gonna be rocking with and what side they gonna bang with. We've seen a lot of questions in the comments, especially through some of the recent racial things that's went on in the city, not only with what's going on social media, also these indictments that are coming out that give us a peek as to how people are talking about other communities and other races. But it's really not much of a question when talking about how the black dudes align themselves with Hispanic gangs. Now, the key thing is the issues really came from bringing prison politics all the way down to the street level and intertwining those ideologies and that rhetoric with everyday life with members on the streets. And it all starts with how Southsiders and Sureños differentiate. Now, we've seen it said where black dudes can never become Sureños, basically insinuating that the jump from being just a regular Southsider to a Sureño is less about gangbanging, less about activity, and more about genetics and the color of your skin.
No blacks can ever make that final step. So if they can't make the final step, how would anybody believe they can make the first step? There were people that were adamant. A black dude cannot speak for our people. That's not going to happen. That's going to get you whacked because the main rival at the end of the day is the blacks. But you know, it was like, how you going to have somebody that looks like our main rival telling our people what to do?
Now, this is just one individual talking. This doesn't represent how everybody feels, but this, either purposefully or inadvertently, has created the divide, not only in prison, but to black SAs on the street, within themselves and other black homies, and a black SA and a Hispanic homie. And this is how everything is really played out on the streets, with people on the inside and also people on the outside looking into these situations where you see black dudes rolling with Hispanic hoods, and we see people always have questions about how it is being from your hood. Now, the ideology of a black dude never being able to become something in a specific hood, I believe, fosters specific traits in certain black SAs that kind of make up the stigma that some may have about them. And I think some dudes fall into that stigma and others don't. So some of the main things we see is individuals that somewhat want to leave the black image alone completely. They fully embrace not only the culture, the accent, and of course, the ideologies that go along with the Southside program. But as the gangbang culture is progressing, as we see, everything is starting to look the same on all sides. Everybody's wearing the same clothes, talking the same, rapping the same way. So I think eventually the cultural gap will continue to bridge, and race politics will eventually matter less and less. But with people that kind of change they get down, we've seen this multiple times with individuals where they say they don't want to look black, whether it be with braids. It was a situation with Mr. Keep It Hood from Eastside Playboys where he said he didn't necessarily want to look black.
Who is hot as f? Why do you have that on? No, not the sweater, baby. The hat.
Oh, cause then he'll say you look like a straight black food right now.
Nah, you look firmer. You're the black homie.
Nah, my hair not done. That's why. But I still look.
It looks pretty done.
Still can take your beat. Not just.
A situation with Neil Desai from Sunland Park where he stated you would never catch him with braids. And I think that's somewhat of an extremist approach to the situation. And on the other hand, we have individuals that stick to the roots and just bang the set that they wanted to align themselves with. It shouldn't matter whether you banging a Hispanic hood or a black hood, you still are who you are. And this is where we get individuals that we haven't really seen change up in a certain way and still put it down for they set. We seen Rich Rabbit, also from Eastside Playboys, speak about when his homies approached him for acting too black. We've heard instances of One Way from Watts Vadio Grape speak about how he feels blackballed from not only black and Hispanic side. He's too black for the Hispanics, too Hispanic for the blacks.
I feel like I'm blackballed on both, kinda.
Why? Explain.
For the homie side, cause I don't act like a homie. You know what I'm saying? I'm a homie though, 100%. You know what I'm saying? I'm an essay, 100%.
And we love you right here, baby. Let's go.
Great.
Let's go.
100%, you know what I'm saying? Without a doubt. Then with the blacks, that's blackball too, cause I'm an essay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's for that. So I'm like low-key like.
And I think that's something that just comes with the territory. You know, people on both sides are gonna feel a certain way. Black dudes are gonna feel like you should be a part of their set, and Hispanic dudes may look at you like, what are you doing over here? And again, all of that stems from prison politics. But things get crazy when we talk about people not wanting to wear braids. We've seen Negro from PBS wear his hair in braids. But going back to the conversation of individuals feeling like they don't want black members in the Hispanic community speaking up for the Hispanic race, on the street level, I don't think this is the agenda at all. Again, how all of this begins for black dudes being a part of Hispanic hoods, it's all about who you rocking with from your beginning stages of jumping off the porch. When shit gets taken to that next level, that real political level, that's when you get those type of conversations. But the base level thinking of gang banging with your homies has nothing to do with a black dude wanting to speak up for a whole race, or even Hispanic members having aspirations to be at that kind of political level. Everything starts off way more simplistic than that. But that takes us to the taxation. Of course, something that's not prevalent in black hoods and black gangbanging. Everybody knows what they signed up for at one point in time. Those membership fees, them dues that go to the members up top, the guys that have somewhat made these rules and regulations that create the divide between not only black and brown enemies on the street, but also black and brown homies that exist within the same set. And this leads to what many people see is one of the most difficult stances of gangbanging, being a black essay, because you have situations where people are saying that you can't be something, albeit there's been other dudes that have not been Mexican that have been made into the Mexican mafia. But this type of rhetoric creates extreme adversity that dudes either have to roll with or get rolled on. And this is why you don't really hear a lot of black Southsiders speaking on or checking some of the racial things that go on online. We seen what was said by Lucky from Hood Stocks. That's one thing. Another situation was with Lucky from Cali Legends. That Maya word was crazy. But on the flip side, we've seen Gumby from Hoover speak about and express his ideologies on the shit. So we know it goes on with both sides. Racial tension going from black to brown, brown to black, Both sides participate in the bullshit, but the thing is, it came down when the Mexican Mafia decided to extend their grip, again, from prison to the streets. We all know at one time they put a green light on black hoods out here, and it somewhat created a green light on their own homies. In terms of black dudes being from their hood, somewhat of a purge of black dudes from some hoods out here. Now, we also heard when Neil Desai spoke about his situation with that, and this is an older black dude who was around closer to the time of where that ideology derived from, where he spoke about even his homies somewhat looking to press a line on him and move him around because of him being black. And he basically insinuated to having to stand on his own too in the situation.
Well, it ain't even a story, but like when they were doing that whole thing where black fools are getting jumped out of neighborhoods, there's a few homies that wanted to jump me out. No matter how much work I put in, whatever, they just wanted to jump me out because it's always been a jealousy thing.
Yeah.
But I refused. Dog, even when the whole thing with getting jumped out, dog, I started a neighborhood in my neighborhood. Recruited like 20 people, dog. They came back. They didn't want to fight, dog. They just wanted to bring us back into the fold. Like, I refused it, dog.
But what kind of mindset does that create when certain people, not everybody in your hood, of course, not all Hispanics in these hoods feel the same way. A lot of times there's generational gaps where older dudes may feel a certain way. Certain homies that came home from the pen have indoctrinated themselves into a way of thinking, and they try to press those racial lines on the streets. Various different things transpire to how things get racial internally with Hispanic homies and black homies from the same hood, but not everybody in the Hispanic hood pushes that line. I've watched many different individuals that I've grown up with from elementary to middle school join Southside hoods, dudes that are black as hell, black mom, black father, and they banging the double S and are accepted by their homies, and they rolling with their homies. They doing the same thing. It's no different than if they had to join the black hood. But like I said, there's certain dudes that'll be in the hood that push certain lines and somewhat apply pressure really just to test somebody out and see how far you gonna go to represent this shit. But there has to be a balance between race and gangbanging, because on the other hand, black dudes don't join Hispanic gangs to just be representing some all black shit. And the same goes for Hispanics and black gangs. They don't join black gangs to just be all on some Hispanic shit. And once that's understood, that's where I believe balance is restored. Again, everybody understands what they signing up for. But even amidst the situations with certain people calling for black dudes to be jumped out of these hoods, we see black dudes have always been a part of these hoods, even before the current political structure that we all know and are all familiar with now in current times was implemented. There's been black essays in these hoods before, and clearly even after things got racial, they still exist. And even now, black essays have become more prevalent, especially with this social media era where we seeing a lot more into people's hoods. But I personally know at least 10 dudes that I grew up with that were black essays from different hoods. So do the racial things really matter in a Southside hood? Again, race politics are on both sides. Now, I haven't seen it as much when it comes to Hispanic Crips being from black hoods and shit like that, or Hispanic Bloods. I'm sure sometimes it does transpire, it does happen in those hoods. Definitely not as prevalent as other races being in the Hispanic hood. And it starts a lot of times with joking, where dudes will make jokes about your skin color or about your race, things like that. And again, all these things are testers to see how far you're willing to align with the program. But another thing that comes with being a black essay is the spotlight. Like I spoke on, every time we see an interview with a black essay, we always get that question, what is it like being black in a Hispanic hood? A lot of people on the outside looking in have raised eyebrows when seeing certain things like that, especially if you're not from California. We see many dudes in the limelight, especially rappers, that give us a glimpse into the program that they follow. Dudes like Drex the Joint, who is black, Tommy Guns, Central Ave General from CV155, a hood that's been known to be racial in Compton. And then we got hood famous dudes, Peanut from Barrio Majados, Negro from PBS, Boxer, Linwood Paragons. You know, it's hundreds, if not thousands, of dudes out here that we see putting it down. But like I said, with that ideology, there's two different ways you can be.
You a scene maker, yeah, you ain't on shit. You say be thugging all night, you be posting with a bitch on pop it. I just say watch this. How you locked up with your op? You ain't even throw fizz. I got back fades. If the homies call me sick, yeah, I'm trunking up on 5. Who tripping on the fit? They be popping on the ops, you don't be popping on shit. How you trophy him in the hood? You ain't even got a skit.
So we seen the situation with Sombra, aka Shadow, from Monrovia, a black SA, and at the time was an older homie of Monrovia Nuevo Barrio, a Hispanic hood in Monrovia. Now the paperwork states how we got into it with one of his homies named Babyface at a party all the way back in August 2004. And mind you, 2004, 2005 out here was very racial. And even though this wasn't inner city LA, everything was on the same scale throughout LA County. To my knowledge, it may have been even worse outside of the inner city. But Sombra is over here with his homies, gets into it with one of his homies, and Babyface allegedly makes some racial statements. And again, with Sombra being black, felt the type of way. Now, clearly, this is an individual who took pride in being black. My thing is, race really doesn't have to matter in this situation. Like I said, gangbanging is gangbanging. Stick to the gangbanging politics. The race politics should play no part in how niggas is putting it down on the streets. Dudes shouldn't have to lose themselves or excommunicate themselves from their lifestyle or their roots just to bang with the niggas that they rock with. But in all, again, with some racial comments made over here in Monrovia, somebody ends up shooting Babyface in the back of the head and tried to run his body over, peeling off from the scene. Now, is this situation far-fetched? No. Can this situation happen in a black hood? For sure. Anybody on a racial tip on both sides can become susceptible to some bullshit like this with getting killed talking crazy about somebody's race, whether they from your hood or not. But like we've explained, racial things can transpire a lot more often in Hispanic hoods than they do in black hoods amongst each other. Again, I have to keep explaining that both sides, black versus brown, brown versus black, participate in it equally, especially if your hood is beefing with Hispanics. That's just the way it go. It ends up turning racial, even if all y'all was cool at one point. So I'm not saying that only Hispanics are being racist out here, but they have more internal racial issues than black hoods with members that are of a different race. But one thing that's even across the board, man, is that dudes do be getting it cracking. So we know over here in the low bottoms, again, we spoke numerous times about the black SAs in PBS. I've heard of a dude named Trooper from Video 38th Street, also a strong black SA over here. But sometimes we see racial politics really don't matter because gangbanging always leads to the same results, no matter who's getting knocked down. And that takes us to an individual named Kamal Cleveland from Video 41st Street, who has proclaimed his name to be Killer over here from 41st Street. Now, this situation over here with Video 41st Street, Eastside Rabbit Gang, the Playboys, is one to highlight because both of these hoods have black counterpart hoods that they coexist with, like many other hoods in the city. Video 41st Street is up at Gilbert Lindsay with Eastside Fotre Gangster Crib. And we know the Eastside Rabbits are up at South Park with Phi Tre Avalon Gangster Crib. And it's somewhat a 2-on-2 over here on the east side in the low bottoms, black and brown versus black and brown. Now, to rewind the clock back again to March 5th, 2018, the Playboys came over to Gilbert Lindsay, 42nd and San Pedro, on bikes. End up shooting a dude named Trouble from Video 41st Street. This was Hispanic dudes that shot another Hispanic dude over here in the mouth and the shoulder. But Trouble made it out the situation and didn't lose his life. The 4 Hispanic dudes from PBS got up out the situation, went back south towards their hood. Right after that, some black dudes pulled up over here to Gilbert Lindsay and hollered at Troubles about what happened. These black dudes were from Video 41st Street. Troubles tells them it was the Rabbits, and 15 minutes later, on 51st and McKinley, a black SA named Kamal Cleveland is on foot with the 40 over here and kills another Hispanic member named Maniac from Eastside Playboys. Now, this is what I mean by the racial politics really not playing much of a role. When we talk about ideologies and things of black people can't be a certain thing and this like that and this and that, but nobody's tripping when a black SA kills a Hispanic member. That doesn't strike a red flag. It was done for the double S. And this is why I say racial politics really don't even need to play a role into this gangbanging shit, especially internally between these Southside hoods, because you can't say on one foot, black dudes are a certain way, but we'll let them kill another Hispanic. I think everybody needs to stick to gangbanging. and leave the racial shit to the side. But with Kamal Cleveland, who got an eye buster, 41st Street blasted on his face, BSR, Clicker 41st Street blasted on him. A young dude over here, he gets caught on surveillance camera doing this murder on 51st and McKinley, and he's recognized by his deformed hand. As you can see, this feature is very recognizable, and this is how the police ended up catching up with him for killing Maniac from PBS. Now, Kamal was an individual that wasn't all the way there in the head. He was in that one class in school. Y'all know the class I'm talking about. And it showed because when he went down, he snitched on his homie Menace from Video 41st Street as well on the skit, telling the police after the rabbits had shot his homie, it was time for them to go bunny hunting. And he snitched on his homies over here again. Basic gangbanging, the result is the same whether you from a black or a brown hood. It really don't matter when the gangbanging is in play, man. Police ended up putting together that the older homies in Video 41st Street sent Kamal and Menace off for some get back. Broad daylight over here in the low bottoms. And Frank Burrell, aka Menace, ends up going down as the driver for the body on a second-degree murder charge. Kamal Cleveland is back outside now, again, on some regular shit. So how much do the race politics actually weigh into the situation? And I believe it's not that strong for certain situations, because something that social media doesn't show is the unification between black and brown in the city. Some of the biggest hoods out here with the biggest names, most members, top killers out here share their hood peacefully with black hoods, and vice versa. Large, well-known black hoods share their hood with Hispanic hoods. We all know the peace treaty between Florencia and East Coast. Florencia shares their hood peacefully with East Coast, the Swans, the Pueblos. On the west side, they share their hood with Harvard Park Brims, the 6-0s, and they also coexist with the A-Trays. Now, we've heard some things about A-Trays, but Florencia and A-Tray is not beefing. The Hoovers coexist with 18th Street from the 50s to the 90s. They coexist with Junior Mafia in Westmont, Barrio Sur 13. The Raymonds coexist with South Los. 18th Street also coexists with the schoolyards in Mid-City. Rolling 20 Bloods and the Harpies. Like we said in the low bottoms, Barrio 41st Street, 4-Pack Crip, the Avalons, PBS, Fadu's Broadway, 5-5 Bunch, Rolling 40s, Street Villains, Rolling 30s, Alley Tiny Criminals. These are all peaceful, coexisting black and brown hoods throughout the city of LA that some people may forget about because of comments that are made on the internet. Again, even in areas that are known to be racial like Compton, Carver Park CV117, CV3 and Santana Block, Watts Vadio Grape and Baby Low Crips, Venice Show Line V13. It's a lot of unity that has to be highlighted out here. And it really goes to show and prove that a lot of the bullshit is prison politics being brought to the streets and agendas being pushed to keep us fucked up out here in the city. But with that being said, man, black essays, as we can see, are extremely prevalent, getting active, doing their thing, even amidst some of the things we may see on the internet and the history of racial tension between black and brown in LA's gangbanging culture. But y'all make sure y'all tap into some black essay music. Again, dudes like Mr. Keep It Hood, One Way, Central Ave General, Rich Rabbit. Y'all know Tommy Guns, Drex the Joint. If y'all want to dig further into these politics, man. But this Rap News Street Politics, the best hood channel on YouTube. Make sure y'all stay tapped in. We coming with some heat real soon. We out.